Beloved, acknowledging pain is an act of bravery. In a world that often pressures us to move on quickly, to replace sorrow with distraction, choosing to sit with your feelings is revolutionary. It's common to want to dismiss or minimize our pain, telling ourselves that it's not that bad, that others have it worse, or that we should be over it by now. But true healing starts when we allow ourselves to fully experience what we're going through without rushing the process. Pain is not an enemy to be defeated, but a messenger that something mattered deeply to us. By embracing the reality of our emotions, we honor the significance of what we lost and create space for genuine healing. There's a tendency to judge our feelings, to label them as weak or excessive. We think that by admitting we're hurt, we're somehow losing a battle. But beloved, emotions are not flaws. They're proof that we loved, that we cared, and that we dared to open our hearts. When we allow ourselves to grieve, to feel the sting of rejection, betrayal, or loss, we're affirming that our experiences were real and meaningful. Self-compassion becomes essential here. Speaking to ourselves gently, acknowledging that it's okay to hurt, to cry, to feel lost, is the antidote to shame. Our feelings are not just valid, they're vital signals of our humanity. Refusing to acknowledge pain doesn't make it disappear, it buries it alive. When we suppress our emotions, they manifest in other ways, through anxiety, anger, or a numbing detachment that keeps us from experiencing joy. Unaddressed pain becomes a shadow that follows us into new relationships, making it difficult to trust or open up again. Emotional suppression is like building a dam. The pressure builds until something cracks. By acknowledging our pain without judgment, we prevent the floodgates from bursting unexpectedly. We give ourselves permission to heal in real time rather than delaying the inevitable. Beloved, one powerful way to acknowledge pain is to name it. When we can articulate that we're feeling abandoned, betrayed, or heartbroken, we take away some of the power these emotions have over us. Naming our pain brings clarity and helps us understand what we truly need, whether it's comfort, reassurance, or just time. It transforms a faceless ache into something we can work through. Writing in a journal, talking to a trusted friend, or even speaking aloud to ourselves can be profound acts of self-recognition. Words have the power to soothe, and when we put language to our pain, we begin to unravel its hold on us. Acknowledging pain without judgment also means refusing to let it define us. You are not your heartbreak. You are not the betrayal. Your emotions are visitors passing through, not the essence of who you are. It's easy to internalize pain, to let it convince us that we're unworthy of love or that our story ends in suffering. But beloved, pain is a chapter, not the entire book. Reminding ourselves that emotions are temporary, no matter how intense, helps us detach our identity from our suffering. It allows us to experience pain fully without being consumed by it. Acknowledging pain is the first step, but it's also an invitation to heal. Healing requires courage, the courage to face what hurts, to unpack it layer by layer, and to move forward even with scars. It's a process, often slower than we'd like, filled with progress and setbacks alike, but every time you choose to honor your emotions without judgment, you're choosing healing over bitterness, growth over stagnation. Beloved, pain has a way of carving space in our hearts, making room for wisdom, empathy, and strength. The courage to acknowledge pain is the same courage that will lead you to peace. Beloved, boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They are bridges that guide others on how to treat us. Setting boundaries that honor your well-being is an act of self-respect and self-love. Too often we confuse being available for being lovable, sacrificing our peace to keep the peace. But without boundaries, we become exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from ourselves. Boundaries are about defining what's acceptable and what's not, both for others and for ourselves. They allow us to engage with the world authentically, protecting our energy and mental health. When you set boundaries, you're not rejecting others, you're embracing your worth. Communicating boundaries requires courage because it often means disappointing others or risking conflict. Many of us struggle to set limits because we fear being seen as selfish, cold, or unkind. But beloved, kindness without limits leads to burnout. It's essential to express what you need clearly and assertively, whether that's saying no to a social invitation, requesting time to process your feelings, or asking for respect in how others speak to you. Boundaries are most effective when they are communicated directly and calmly without apology or excessive explanation. Owning your needs without guilt is a profound act of self-compassion. Beloved, boundaries are often misunderstood as acts of punishment or control. But true boundaries are not about forcing others to change. They're about protecting your well-being regardless of what others choose to do. For instance, limiting contact with someone who constantly brings negativity into your life is not about teaching them a lesson. It's about preserving your peace. Boundaries allow you to stay grounded and intentional about who and what gets your energy. By setting limits, you declare that your mental and emotional health are non-negotiable, that you will no longer betray yourself for the comfort of others. To honor your well-being, beloved, you must also recognize when your boundaries are being crossed. Feelings of resentment, exhaustion, or anxiety often signal that a boundary needs to be set or reinforced. It might show up in relationships where you give more than you receive, at work where you take on tasks beyond your capacity, or even within yourself when you neglect rest and self-care. Paying attention to these feelings helps you identify where you need clearer limits. Your emotions are not inconveniences. They are indicators gently urging you to realign with what serves your peace. Setting boundaries is one step, beloved, but consistently enforcing them is where true freedom lies. It's tempting to waver, to let things slide just to avoid conflict or to accommodate someone else's comfort. But every time you compromise your boundaries, you erode trust in yourself. Consistency requires discipline, the discipline to say no, even when it feels uncomfortable, to walk away from conversations that cross the line, and to follow through with the consequences you've set. This is not about being rigid. It's about being unwavering in your commitment to your well-being. Consistent boundaries build self-trust and send a clear message to others about what you will and will not tolerate. Beloved, setting boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do, not only for yourself, but for others as well. When we are clear about our limits, we teach others how to treat us and encourage healthier, more respectful relationships. Boundaries prevent resentment from poisoning our connections. They allow us to give freely rather than out of obligation. They are declarations of what we need to thrive: space, honesty, kindness, or simply time alone. Loving yourself enough to set boundaries is a radical act of self-acceptance. It's choosing to live authentically rather than bending to please others. In honoring your well-being, you create a life that reflects your true worth, a life that is rich in peace, freedom, and integrity. Beloved, one of the hardest truths to accept is that not every story ends with a neat bow of clarity and understanding. We long for closure because we believe that if we can just understand why things happened the way they did, the pain will hurt less. We replay conversations. Beloved, letting go of the need for closure means embracing the uncertainty of unanswered questions. This is not about denying your desire for understanding, but about accepting that some explanations won't bring the peace you seek. Why they left, why they changed, why they couldn't love you the way you deserved. These are questions that may linger without resolution. Learning to live without these answers requires faith. Faith that you can heal without knowing, that your worth is not tied to someone else's reasons or actions. It means deciding that your peace is more important than their explanation. Making peace with ambiguity is a courageous act of self-preservation. Closure, beloved, is not something someone else gives you. It's something you give yourself. It's a decision to end the chapter, not because everything makes sense, but because you choose to reclaim your energy. Finding closure within yourself involves acknowledging the pain, grieving what was lost, and allowing yourself to feel every emotion without rushing the process. It's recognizing that you don't need their apology or validation to move forward. You are enough even without the answers. By giving yourself permission to let go, you transform from a seeker of closure to a creator of new beginnings. The need for closure often disguises itself as endless loops of what ifs and whys. What if you had done things differently? Why did it end the way it did? These questions can haunt us, keeping us anchored to the past. Beloved, releasing the need for closure means releasing these mental spirals that serve no purpose other than to prolong the pain. Instead of seeking reasons, choose to focus on acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you agree with what happened or that it was fair. It means you refuse to let the past dictate your present. Letting go of the what ifs is a declaration that your peace is more valuable than your need to understand. Beloved, not every story in life comes with a clear ending. Some connections drift without explanation, some dreams dissolve without warning, and some chapters remain unfinished. Embracing this mystery is part of the human experience. When you release the need for closure, you open yourself to the beauty of uncertainty, to the idea that not everything needs to be understood to be valuable. Life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a journey to be lived with all its loose ends and unanswered questions. Trust that even the unfinished stories carry lessons, that even without closure, you are exactly where you're meant to be. At its core, releasing the need for closure is about choosing freedom over understanding. It's about deciding that your life is too precious to spend waiting for answers that might never come. It's about freeing yourself from the mental prisons of overthinking and analysis paralysis. By letting go, you reclaim the energy that was stuck in the past and redirect it toward creating a future that serves you. You learn to carry the memories without letting them weigh you down, to honor the lessons without needing the explanations. Beloved, freedom comes when you stop demanding that the past makes sense and start building a life that does. Your story isn't over. It's only just beginning. Beloved, when we fixate on the past, on what went wrong, who left, or how things could have been, we drain the energy that could be used to build a better future. Replaying old memories and reliving old pain keeps us anchored to places we've already outgrown. The truth is, we cannot move forward while our gaze is fixed behind us. Refocusing on self-worth and growth is a conscious decision to shift your energy from what's gone to what's possible. It's about recognizing that the past is a chapter, not the whole story. Every time you choose to redirect your focus to the present and the future, you're reclaiming power over your own narrative. When relationships end or dreams shatter, it's common to question our worth. We wonder if we were enough or if somehow we were the problem. Beloved, refocusing on self-worth means rebuilding the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. This involves challenging the lies you might have believed about your value and rewriting the stories that keep you small. Practicing self-compassion becomes crucial here. Speak to yourself the way you would to a dear friend, without blame, without harshness. Remind yourself that you are worthy, not because of someone else's opinion, but because of the simple, unchangeable truth that you exist. Shifting your energy means pouring it into things that make you come alive, your passions, your dreams, and the person you're becoming. Take that class you've been eyeing, start that project you've been putting off, or revisit the hobbies you loved before life got complicated. Growth is not just about becoming something new, it's about rediscovering what was always inside you. Every skill you learn, every goal you pursue is a reminder that your life is not defined by past losses, but by present possibilities. When you invest in your growth, you're telling yourself that you are worthy of time, effort, and love. Beloved, one of the greatest shifts you can make is to detach your self-worth from the approval of others. So often we base our value on who stays, who applauds, and who validates us. But true self-worth is internal. It's built on knowing who you are and what you stand for, regardless of who acknowledges it. Redefining self-worth means embracing your strengths, your quirks, and even your flaws without waiting for someone else's permission. It's deciding that you are enough right now as you are, and that no amount of rejection can diminish your inherent value. When you ground your worth in yourself, you become unshakable. Shifting focus doesn't mean ignoring the past. It means extracting the lessons without getting stuck in the hurt. Every experience, no matter how painful, carries wisdom. Maybe it taught you how to recognize red flags, how to set boundaries, or how to stand alone with courage. Embrace these lessons, beloved, but don't let them define you. The past was a teacher, not a life sentence. When you can look back with gratitude for the lessons rather than bitterness for the losses, you transform pain into power. This perspective frees you to build a future that honors what you've learned instead of what you've lost. Refocusing on self-worth and growth also means shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. Scarcity tells you that you've missed your chance, that love or opportunity won't come again. But abundance reminds you that there is more love, more joy, more possibilities waiting for you. Practice gratitude for what you have now, no matter how small it seems. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from lack to fullness. When you cultivate an abundant mindset, you attract experiences that align with the belief that you are worthy of good things. Because you are, beloved. Beloved, when you believe in your worth, you start setting goals that reflect it. This means no longer settling for relationships that drain you, jobs that diminish you, or situations that compromise your values. Setting goals from a place of self-worth is about choosing what aligns with your vision and purpose. Make goals that scare you a little, that call you to grow, to expand, to become. And remember, it's not just about achieving these goals, but about who you become in the process. Each step forward is a testament to your resilience and your belief that you deserve more than just survival. You deserve to thrive. Beloved, refocusing on self-worth and growth is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. There will be days when doubt creeps in, when old wounds ache, and when the past tries to reclaim your focus. In those moments, remind yourself that growth is not about perfection, but progress. Embrace the journey of becoming, the messy, beautiful, unfolding process of learning, healing, and evolving. Trust that every step you take toward building a stronger you is a step away from the shadows of the past. You are not who you were, and you are not yet who you will be. Keep moving forward, beloved, with courage and conviction, for the best chapters of your story are still being written. Beloved, forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many see it as a gift to the person who wronged us, a past that excuses the pain they caused. But true forgiveness is less about them and more about freeing yourself. When you hold on to anger and resentment, you tie your heart to the past, reliving the hurt over and over. It becomes a prison of your own making, one where bitterness takes root and peace becomes a distant memory. Embracing the power of forgiveness means choosing liberation over lingering pain. It's not about minimizing the wrongdoing or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about refusing to let that pain define or control you any longer. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to freedom, allowing you to step forward unburdened and whole. 2, releasing the weight of resentment. Beloved, resentment is heavy, a burden that exhausts the soul. When we replay betrayals and nurse old wounds, we carry the weight of what should have been, what could have been. But the past cannot be changed, no matter how tightly we hold on to it. Releasing resentment through forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened or welcoming toxic people back into your life. It means deciding that your peace is worth more than your pride. It's letting go of the fantasy that if they just understood your pain, if they just apologized sincerely enough, the hurt would disappear. Forgiveness is a choice to lay down the weight of bitterness and reclaim the energy that resentment has drained. Choosing to forgive, beloved, is one of the greatest acts of self-love. It's recognizing that you deserve peace, that your future deserves to be written without the ink of past wounds. Often we withhold forgiveness thinking it's a form of justice, that by staying angry, we're making them pay for what they did. But in truth, the one who suffers most is us. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, it transforms the present. It shifts the focus from what was taken from you to what you can build moving forward. By forgiving, you reclaim the power to define your life on your terms, to decide that hurtful people and painful experiences do not get to write the rest of your story. Beloved, it's important to understand that forgiveness does not always lead to reconciliation. Sometimes the healthiest choice is to forgive from a distance, to release the anger but keep the boundary. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life or pretend that nothing happened. It simply means you are choosing to no longer be emotionally bound to what they did. Reconciliation requires change, accountability, and mutual respect. But forgiveness is a decision you make for your own peace of mind. It's about untangling your heart from the actions of others and freeing yourself to move forward without the chains of the past. Beloved, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. We replay our mistakes, our failures, the things we wish we'd done differently, but self-forgiveness is just as vital as forgiving others. Holding on to guilt and shame only keeps us trapped in the past, unable to grow or move forward. Embracing the power of forgiveness means extending grace to yourself, acknowledging that you are human, that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. It means learning from your mistakes without letting them define you. Self-forgiveness is about releasing the need for perfection and embracing the journey of becoming, flaws and all. Beloved, forgiveness is not a one-time event, but a process, a decision you may have to make repeatedly until the pain no longer holds power over you. Each time you choose to forgive, you peel back a layer of hurt and make space for healing. Forgiveness allows you to reclaim the parts of yourself that were lost in the pain, the joy, the hope, the ability to trust again. It's a path that leads to inner peace, to a life no longer defined by past wounds, but by the strength it took to overcome them. By embracing the power of forgiveness, you declare that your heart is too precious to be a graveyard for bitterness. You free yourself to live fully, to love again, and to write a new chapter untethered by old pain.